Hello, everyone. We're finally ready to push out training for PSAT. I'm just going to guide you through the manual and the expectations for the day. And hopefully this will alleviate any concerns you have, and you'll be able to answer the quiz and feel prepared for PSAT administration Wednesday, October 25th, 2017. It's about 2 weeks away. The screen you see first is a copy of the screen, a copy of what's in your email of your assignments. I just want to go through and explain a couple of things. If you are late arrivals / auditorium, relocated students, you are housing the relocated students of people that are actually administering the test. That's the number that appears over here in column E. Like, for instance, Coach Rimmer has 10 students that aren't taking the test, but he's also going to be helping to monitor all of these students along with Miss Malin, Colonel Lee, Sergeant Barrett, and Miss Jackson, all of these students with the numbers that appear here whose teachers are actually administering the test. I tried to only use teachers if you have fewer than 15 students remaining in your class. If it says co-administrator, you are the second person in the room. You are assisting. If you decide with your partner that you would rather read, that's fine. I don't care. But there must be one person in the room at all times. And if you're a co-administrator, then y'all decide that together. But you both are predominantly in the room until you get started, for sure. And definitely when you are taking up materials, so that that process of turn-in is much quicker. If you have a restroom duty, only allow one student in at a time. And along with that, we will reiterate this when we go through the manual. When students choose to go to the restroom, their time does not stop. Time continues. And with the way that is taking place, we'll talk about restrooms a little bit more, but I'll just go ahead and hit on it for a second, just so we've said it more than once. Portables 35 through 54 will use lower K-hall restrooms. Portables 5 through 20 will use the portable restrooms. And M1 through 6 will use lower M-hall restrooms. Ms. Balderas, you are actually a reliever for the restroom people, so your job is to check on the people assigned to those restroom duties and make sure if they need a 5 or 10 minute break or something like that, or if they need to go run to the restroom, there's someone in their spot. Now, if you see the word reliever, the difference in a reliever and a co-administrator, relievers are people that are officed, so counselors, librarians, support staff, at-risk team, that group of people, they will be in there at the very beginning of testing until you get started. Then y'all will establish some break times or maybe exchange the office phone number where they can be located when you need a break. And where you can also contact them when your kids are finished and ready to turn in. And they will be the people more than likely that turn into the testing office, because they can help also receive material once it begins coming in. We're just trying to make this process as fast as possible. I also have people listed as alternates at the bottom. These people have students assigned to them, and it's a worst case scenario, I might have to pull them. Everybody that is on this list needs to complete the training and go through the manual, even if you're assigned as a late arrival or auditorium person, because if people get sick, you'll already be trained and I could substitute you in for someone. So that is what we need to know about that. Okay, moving on to the manual itself. Your manuals are placed in your boxes and your assignments are on the front of them as well. And we're just going to go through here. Notice on the very front, there are little descriptions, kind of keys, legends for you to go as you go through the manual. If you see the slash mark or this X, both of these indicate that it's information for campus and district coordinators. The little orange post-it or orange highlight, orange underline has to do with 10th grade administration. Pink, 9th and 11th administration, and yellow, it pertains to all rooms. All right, this is just some general info about the PSAT. As many of you may or you should probably do know, but in case you don't, it's a preliminary SAT. It's a practice SAT. Our students will get information back on how they can better prepare for the SAT. And if they are a junior, then they could qualify for National Merit Scholar Program. If they qualify as a National Merit Scholar, they're basically writing their own ticket to any school they want to go to for free. That is the upper echelon of or the highest percentages of scores in the entire nation that qualify for that. So, and we have had students every year, at least one student obtain that status. But nevertheless, also information goes out to colleges based on how students answer and things like that on the test. This is just kind of a contents. You do not have all the pages in the manual because I took the time to go through and make all the notes that you would need and take the papers out that were excessive and things that you did not need to know. All right, as we go ahead and scroll through the next page, this talks about associate supervisors, proctors, the resources you need, teacher codes, room codes. It's all these things. It's kind of background information for you. And up here, where we are talking about pre-identification of enrolled students, the only group we've done that for is a pre-ID label is 10th grade because all of those students that are first-time 10th graders, I tried to do my best. If they were a repeating 10th grader, I tried my very, very best to keep them off the rosters because they've already been paid for once. So, and it's supposed to be first-time 10th graders. That refers to those students, and so their inter-document process is a little different. All right, on this page, this tells you about how much time things are going to take. We do not have students on any kind of extended time. We are not giving breaks, just so you guys know. Whenever it talks about a break, that's a stretch break, stay in the room break. We are not having class organized restroom breaks. And this is just also a little bit of background about the PSAT, if that's some information that you would like to know. All right, test rooms and seatings. The basic thing you need to know here is that all desks need to be spaced out and facing the same direction. If tables are used in your room, then you need partitions, and I have plenty of partitions. We're trying to make sure that that's taken care of ahead of time, but if it's not, just know that is upon you of how the room appears. We are going to try to get everybody to get those rooms as they should be, but if it's not, just know spaced out as evenly as possible. It talks about a 4-foot difference. We may not can guarantee the 4-foot difference head to head, but we will do the best we can. Everything faced the same way and evenly spaced out. Okay, testing room codes. Notice that on your room assignments, a 0 or a 00 appears with your room number. All right, we have one switch. If anything is in M Hall, it's going to be listed as 100. M1 is 100, M2, 200, 3, 300, 4, 400, 5, 500, 6, 600. Because we start back with P5, and if we did 005 for P5 and for M5, it would look like the same room. So if you have questions about this, make sure to ask on test day, but there is a place to bubble in room codes. All right? Optional codes. This is the English teacher code. You'll be given a paper. It has all the English teachers whose students are taking the test, and they will have a code that students will bubble in for them. Okay, students will bubble in for that name. Selecting staff, just notice right here, it says, I have to add a room proctor for each room if needed for 35 to 50 students. None of our rooms are over 34. So we can have one teacher up to 34 kids. That's why if somebody is in dire need of a break and you have a administrator assigned, then it's okay for one person to be in the room. That's why it's okay for the relievers us to modify and adjust so that we can make that work to make this administration possible and better on everyone. It has the responsibility of people in here. More than anything, you are proctors. You are administering the test. You're administering the test. All right? And everything that goes along with that. You'll have a checklist so you will not get bogged down by those things. All right, your seating charts will be on a orange sheet. It may be yellow. It just depends on what we have the most paper of. And you will fill it out accordingly. It's at the back of this packet, and we'll talk about that then. Security of test materials. We always have to keep things secure, out of sight, put away, okay? Calculator use. We are providing calculators. This is the announcement we will continue to make to students. Since we are providing the calculators, we do not have to make sure that they are permissible. That's already been taken care of. But students are not allowed to use their own calculators. We can't guarantee what information has been stored on those prior to testing day. Prohibited aids and devices. Students can only have, it says students must, during the test, including breaks, staff must ensure that students have nothing on their desk but a test, answer sheet, number 2 pencils, and erasers, and then a calculator. You can only use a calculator on one section, so we're not even going to distribute those until right before that section. So all personal belongings at the front as they enter, and then you will read the electronic use policy for the school because we will be asking for their phones. They need to power them off. We put a Post-it note on them. Keep them up beside your desk in the testing bin. We do not hand those out until your bucket has been turned into the testing office. Okay? Moving on. This reminds restroom, 1 student at a time. No extra times allowed for the break. We already talked about that, but there it is in the manual. All right, part 2. This is about administering the test. These are the things that you need to post on the board. You will each be given a dry erase marker that has to come back to the testing office. We use these all year long. This 444710 is our school code. Mesquite High School, along with this address, the room number as it is indicated on your roster, and then the teacher code paper. You can use that with the document camera so it's displayed for students to see. In talking about conducting the session, it's just saying these things need to be posted. So I just put them on this Post-it note so you can copy this directly on the board. It's also on your checklist. When we get to that, you'll see it's very clear as what needs to be posted. Okay. Please make note of this. This is not on your paper, but it will be on your quiz, I promise. When do we start testing? When do we start the process of handing out answer documents? You may read this statement as soon as those children are pretty much seated when the tardy bell rings. So as soon after the tardy bell that you should be collecting phones as students come in, having them seated as they come in. You'll already have your seating chart made. That way you'll know who's absent. When you are ready, when that's happened, you've read the electronic use policy, all personal items are at the front, they have a pencil on their desk, and nothing else, not even a calculator. You haven't distributed that yet. Cell phones are taken up. You'll read the electronic use policy, and then you will read this statement. We will now fill out important information on the PSAT and MSQT answer sheet. As I go through these instructions, raise your hand if you have any questions. You will need to use a number 2 pencil. Raise your hand if you don't have one, which they should all have one because we're providing it. And hopefully you will just move on from there with some very smooth sailing. You continue to read when prompted. That's why it's important to read ahead of time. It says, next, say, these are the answer sheets that you will use to mark your answers on the test. I'm also giving you booklets with information you will need to fill in some boxes. We are not doing that. This is not when you give out the books. That's not this time. That's a different thing because we're not filling out every area of the answer sheet. There's things we are eliminating from it. At this point, you only give them the answer sheet. I promise there'll be a question about that on your little quiz. I'm trying to help y'all out, okay? So the next thing, notice this is where the pink and the orange highlights come in. Pink, remember, is for 9 and 11. Orange is for 10th grade. So this says to students who are using large block answer sheets, you do have someone, there's one student that has a large block, okay? But then when you move on, it says if you're using this, it doesn't tell you to read this out loud. It says if you are using labels. So 10th grade, you move on to page 24. 9th and 11th grade rooms, and it does say this on the email that you'll be given, and it'll say it on your book. So you'll be all right. It says it on your roster. If it doesn't say it anywhere else, and it may not until that day, it will say it on your roster. All right. Pink, follow these prompts. Follow these prompts. You do not have to wait until everyone is finished, but kind of pace your kids because we need to get started with the test as quickly as possible, but don't be realistic as to how long it will take a majority of them to bubble things. First thing is their name, and it tells them how to fill out their name. Second thing, student ID number. Then we move to 3, 4, and there's different pieces of 4. Okay, 4 is a bubble. And then notice we are going to skip 6 through 10. This is still 9th through 11th grade. You pick back up with 11 and 12. It says we're going to leave those blank at this time because those have to do with the book. They do not have their book yet. Box 13, teacher codes. You'll point them to the document camera, the sheet that's on the board because of the document camera. And then this is very important. Some students will say, I have 2 English teachers. Well, they need to go one that if they were on grade level. So if they have an English 2 and an English 3, they do the higher. Always do the higher. All right? If they have 2 English teachers, students should always put the code of the higher level, higher grade level English teacher. All right, then it says box 14, filled out later. Then we're skipping 15, 16. Oh, I just lied. Sorry. Box 15 is email. They can furnish that if they'd like. Box 17, male or female. Box 18, it has to match the roster. You will have to check that before it's turned in. If the roster says 10 and the kid says 11, it better be marked 10. Okay? You will have all of the same grade in your room. So that should be easy for you to check. All right, notice we're skipping 19 through 25. Pick up with 26, even though it's got a little bit of an X carried there. And it's the name and address of the school. Then 27 is the school code, and then the certification statement. Please know the certification statement does not, well, you're leaving it blank, but when you get to it, we'll talk. Oh, I'm messing up. Okay, trying to go fast on this day. Last thing you'll bubble in is the 444710, and then things pause for a second. You will get back to the certification statement in a minute. 10th grade, this is where you would start. Just follow the highlights. Notice they're still using the ID number. They're going to bubble that it's the ID and then use the ID. Then put their cell phone in. Then fill out the question about National Merit Scholar. And then they skip 5. It's on their label. They skip 6 through 10 as well. Leave 11 and 12 blank. It's about the book. On 13, it's the same as everyone else. 13 is the optional codes, the English teacher code. It says 14 will be filled in later. Then 15 is the school's address. Okay, now y'all can flip back for the statement that you need to read. Oh, Something's happening here. Or you can just simply have students close the answer sheets while you turn to page 31 and continue reading. And look, like magic, 31's next. Notice the highlight has changed to yellow. Everyone should be at this place with yellow. And it says, thank you. Please sit quietly while I take a moment now to look around and make sure everyone will be using the calculator. You can skip that part. All our students will be using calculators provided by MHS. You're looking to make sure they don't have anything else on their desk. Next thing it says, distributing books. I'm going to give you your test book. When you receive it, do not open it. Turn it over, read the back cover. It has important information about how to properly mark your answer. Follow the prompts. Here's where 11 and 12 come in. They're information from the book. They're on the back of the book. Box 14 is the room number. Now, this next page is not anything you're going to read out loud. This is background information for you, reminding you to monitor your students. We are actively monitoring kids. Not distracted by anything else. We know what's going on in our room. You're going to time the sections. You're going to announce the remaining time at regular intervals as indicated. We're always going to account for all the test books. And during breaks, we're not having breaks. Remember, restroom one at a time with a pass. And if students aren't back in a reasonable amount of time, you need to contact us in the testing office. Contact us at the numbers we give you on test day. Section 1, reading the test. Here we go, or reading test. It's the reading part. Notice right here, attendance and extra books will begin being collected at 9:30. There's a change with that. Since there is either a reliever or a co-administrator, there is no one extra in the testing office. It is just me and Miss Hill. So as soon as you hit start on the timer for section 1 after reading this prompt, and you can get your attendance in order with your extra books and documents, the co-administrator or the reliever, someone needs to bring those to the testing office while the other person continues to monitor the students. I'll say that again. As soon as you started the time for section 1. And then it only gets more simple from here. You use a timer that is the online timer. You can charge up your iPad that the school has furnished and put that on the document camera so students can see. And you time the sections. You read the prompts, tell exactly, verbatim. You do not get to deviate from these. You can't make up your own. It has to be exactly as written. And then we post the time on the board and in our book. The actual time you started, what time you should stop, and the moment you say you have 30 minutes, the moment you say time starts now, time starts. You press start. After 30 minutes, you will say you have 30 minutes remaining. After 55 minutes, when they only have 5 minutes left, you'll say you have 5 minutes remaining. After exactly 60 minutes, stop work. It's very, very specific as to the instructions you will give. Notice right here, it says we're going to take a break after section 1. We're going to take a stretch break. Anytime it says to take a break, we're going to take a stretch break. No one leaves, no one moves, 1 to 2 minute stretch break. Continue on, section 2, writing and language. It's 35 minutes. Read the directions, post the time, press start, continue. Read when you have 20 minutes remaining in the section. That's after 15 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, you'll say you have 5 minutes remaining. After 35, stop work, put your pencil down, keep your answer sheet, test book flat. The next section, please note this. No calculator. Here's what you need to know. There's 2 times that it talks about a break in PSAT, and we're giving stretch breaks both those times. First time, simple stretch break. The second time, during that stretch break, you're handing out calculators because they will not need it until after section 3. They need the calculator where it says during the break, we're taking a brief stretch break to give out the calculators. No calculator section 3, yes calculator section 4. You continue to post the start and stop time and give the prompts and read them as indicated with the time remaining. All the way till the end. Now, when the last test, when section 4 is finished, students will sit quietly while you collect. As you collect, you have to check to make sure students have bubbled properly as they should. And then prepare to turn in. If you have a reliever, you will need to contact them so that they can know to come pick up your test and get them to the testing center as quickly as possible. You cannot give phones out until all tests are in my possession in the testing office. It's very important. Please know that. Some more information that you may or may not need to know. This is a resource for you. If adding time gives you fits, notice you start with the start time. So let's say I was able to start by 9:10. Everybody should be started by 9:30 at the absolute latest. And I mean latest. We're going for 9:15. Preferably the quicker the better. But be efficient and don't mess up. So it tells you for 60 minutes it will end in that same increment. Well, if I started at 9:10 and it was a 35-minute section, then my time will end in 45. It's just helpful. Acceptable calculators. We left this in here, but there was really no need. We're using school-provided calculators. There's questions about just common questions with the pre-ID labels. And here's a sample of the answer sheet. Notice I highlighted what we're looking for. 9 and 11, pink, yellow, everyone. Notice this is not orange here because they have a label. They have a label. So it's only pink. 9 and 11, everyone, 9, 11. No one. You see those marks? No one. We are not putting our home addresses on here. We are not filling out all of this information down here. We are filling out 11, 12. Those have to do with the test information. 13 is the teacher code. 14 is the test room code. This is just a sample on how they mark their answers. Nothing to do with that. These are the different sections there towards the end where we will finish up. 15, email address. 16, they can indicate if they want to be on this college search or not. So that should be yellow as well. 17 and 18, both pink. Because why? 10th grade, it's already on your label. It's supposed to save us some time. And then here are the remaining sections. We are not filling out 19 through 25. 26, yes. 27, yes. Certification statement. Here's things that could be irregularities that you will need to immediately report to me. There's things that I have to report further. You don't report anything further than to me. And then we decide where to go with that. You just need to be aware of these irregularities. All right. We have a checklist anytime we give a test. There is a checklist. Notice up here in the top right portion, that's what should go on your board. It's real clean, succinct, tells you what to put. So basically, you can pick up test materials in the testing office. Yes, we are H103.5. So you can come see us. We're after Mr. Broussard's room. Notice, do not disperse book or document until instructed to do so in the manual. Follow all the protocols in the supervisor manual. So you'll pick up, then you'll post your do not disturb sign, and hopefully you will already have your doors unlocked since it's portables and not everyone has a key. Post, write the information in the box on the board. I don't mind if you use a document camera for these things, but you'll have to alternate between this one and the teacher code one. All right, this is fill in the answer sheet tracking sequence ranges. What that means is there's a series of documents, numbers. There's a number in the document, and it's just going to help us to know what documents came from what rooms. It will be very helpful, and it's part of the things you have to do. You can fill in your seating chart ahead of time. That's the best way to tell a kid where to go. Use Post-its, use your dry erase markers, so when kids come in, you can direct them to their seat very quickly. And then this just gives an overview of what we are doing. Follow it. This is an overview of what we are including on the answer sheet. Notice you don't see orange highlights here because orange follows the yellow. Orange doesn't have certain things to bubble in other than what we all have to bubble in. Wherever it's pink, orange will be blank because orange has that on their label. 10th grade has that on their label. All right, this is a sample of the seating chart. You will fill in test administrator in charge of the room. There should be 2 names here. The room number, and here's where your tracking numbers go for your answer sheets. And then make these desks look like the room. Make the arrangement look like the room. They should all be facing the same way. Notice if it's a desk you are not using, you put an X. If you pass out books down and then up, then you need to show it that way. That's why they have arrows down, down, down. They passed out books here, 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 here. So just make it look like what the room is. It's a picture of what's going on in your room. We will use a room log. You will sign in and out. The first time you enter the room, you'll sign in, and then from there, you will just do your times out and in as you come out and in the room. It is a picture of what's going on in the room. If we need it, we're always documented. It's a copy of the electronic use policy that you will read before distributing answer documents. Okay, this takes us through the entire manual, the expectations that we have as a staff, your assignments, and I hope it didn't drag on too terribly long. So use what you've learned to complete your quiz, and then your training will be finished, and you will have more details coming your way as they turn out. All of the student locations should be posted no later than Thursday morning, October 12th. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me or call 7815. I'll be out of the office Thursday afternoon and Friday the 13th, but I'm always available through email. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.